This is Short-Term Rental Management, the show that is all about short-term rental property management with your host, yours truly, Luke Carl.
This episode of the Short Term Show is brought to you by the Short Term Shop. If you're interested in buying a short-term rental in one of the top vacation markets in America, just go to theshorttermshop.com and click Get Connected with an Agent. If you purchase a home with the shop, you'll have access to all of our client-only benefits, such as training on how to manage your short-term rental. So we'll teach you everything you need to know, from how to set up your Airbnb and Vrbo listings to how to use the property management software that you'll need to streamline your business, all the way down to helping you source your local boots on the ground like cleaners, handy people, etc. We've taught thousands of people just like you how to buy and manage their vacation homes from anywhere in the world. So head on over to theshorttermshop.com and click Get Connected with an Agent to get started. I do have to mention that we're brokered by EXP or else I get in trouble. We'll see you guys over there.
And here we are, yet another triumphant podcast with long hair Luke, cash flow Carl, the shaman of short term. So happy to be here on short-term rental management. It is a wonderful thing, man. Life is good, and we're glad to have you. Great to be in your presence. I do have lovely co-host today, Tim Grillio, who's a Midwestern guy like myself. We got Nebraska versus Iowa here, not versus. We're in one. We're at peace. We're one in harmony, and motorcycles and everything else, and cars. So Tim, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me today. Always love being here and getting to see your lovely face in the morning.
Oh, stop that. I appreciate that. Long hair.
The hair is looking on point today.
Long hair, don't care.
Good.
It gets hard, man, with the grays, you know. I mean,
just embrace it. Just embrace it. You've earned every one of them.
Listen, I'm distinguished at this point, and you know.
Yeah. I think I might have one or two, like right there.
Oh, see, it's coming. I mean, I had them when I was a 16-year-old kid, you know. I mean, I had one or two, and then the next thing you know, you're old. But yeah, life is good. We were just talking about briefly before we got on camera here about the hotels seem to be feeling a little bit of pressure from us here in the old single-family space. We saw a commercial here recently. I don't remember who it was for or what it was about, and I'm not here to gossip, but it looked to me like it was hotels were kind of crapping on short-term rentals, saying it was almost like they made it look like a horror flick where if you walk into a home, you never know what you're going to get in there. It could be dangerous, that kind of thing. And then they said, well, if you come and stay with us at our beautiful hotel, you get a key card and it's going to be safe and that kind of thing. Did you see that commercial?
Yeah, I've seen it. And I think that's something, you know, one, I think it's partly I'm like, that's awesome. They're, you know, we're making an impact. And, but also I think that's something we all got to pay attention to. I mean, we are competitors with hotels. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's a little bit different in a vacation market. You know, the people that are coming to our places aren't necessarily looking to stay in a hotel at all, but I think we all got to stay on our toes and make sure that we're providing awesome experiences for our guests so they don't want to go to a hotel. So.
Yeah, you know, I mean, really, at the end of the day, the biggest difference is if you're really looking at it from a 10,000-foot perspective between a hotel and a short-term, is that the short-term's got a kitchen, you know?
Pots and pans, man. We got pots and pans.
I mean, the biggest difference in general in real estate between asset classes is apartments have kitchens, hotels do not. Apartments sometimes have central HVAC. Hotels usually have P-tax, you know, which is it's a hotel air conditioner, for lack of a better way to put it. It slides into the wall. It's called a P-tac. And then, of course, short-term rental, which has always been like this weird thing that nobody really ever talked about, was an actual full home. And the beauty of that is that you can put all of your family in one place at one time. They all have their place. You know, here's my thing. Is short-term crapping on hotels? I haven't really seen that. I do see Vrbo trying to crap on Airbnb in commercials and things like that, but why are they picking on us? You know, I mean, we're the little guy. It's like you're going out to the playground and picking on the little guy, Mr. Hotel. I don't get it.
And I think, you know, look at the evolution that's happened. I mean, back and go back what 15 years ago, we didn't exist, and what did exist was two different things. Bed and breakfasts. There was like true bed and breakfasts where it was like usually the people like lived there, and it was like a business, like a boutique business they ran, and people would come and stay in their house, and it was just kind of a, I don't know. I honestly I kind of used to get like a creepy vibe out of that. Like, I don't want to go stay with somebody, And then, in these vacation markets, it's been around 100 years where, you could go rent a condo or you could go rent a hotel, but there was like a little bit of a front desk situation because you went through a property manager, and Airbnb and Vrbo have really, they're the two biggies that have really changed it, but it's really changed the industry in that it's become this, keyless, personless thing. And quite frankly, I love it. I love, and I had a little bit of eye-opening experience there today. I was thinking about, man, we got it. We're up on these hotels because it's so easy, like, to get into our places. You just show up and walk in. You got a door code. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to go to a front desk and like stand in line with a bunch of coughing people and with whatever kids hanging off them everywhere and deal with anything. You just go into your own place. But we checked into a hotel the other day, and we were just on a quickie trip and just an overnighter. So we got a hotel, and they sent us an app. So download this app, and here's your key, and it went right to our phones. And I gotta say, it was pretty cool. We didn't have to check in at the front desk, and we just walked in, and as soon as you got close to the door, it unlocked, and you went in. So they're definitely the bigger, better ones are definitely on top of their game, and they're trying to be at the top still. So
dare I say that they sort of stole that from us with the Schlegel codes and the Yales.
Absolutely.
Which the new N code, they call it the plus, their on code, however you want to pronounce it. It has the same capability. If you have the app on your phone, it will open you just swipe. Like, in other words, if you're coming home with your groceries, you just, kind of bump up against it and it'll open. Now the downside,
give it the old hip swing.
Yeah, the old hip swing. Now the problem there is I don't see that being repeatable in our business because, even if you're renting Verbos every day for business or whatever, only one of 5,000 of them are going to have that.
There's no guarantee that everybody's going to have that,
right.
And that is where the hotels have some, if you want to call it an advantage, they have the advantage of, it's the McDonald's effect.
Right.
If you go to a Hampton Inn, they're all pretty much the same, and so you kind of know what you're walking into. Where in our business, there is a little bit of that. Not all hosts, unfortunately, are as good as us.
Yeah.
But again, it would be go ahead.
Well, they're operating at scale is what it is. There's a Hampton Inn at every town in America or whatever. And it's like Delta Sky Miles, if you stay with the same hotel all the time, you just download that. And that's another incentive for you to keep going back to their hotel. Oh, I've got the app on my phone. I don't have to talk to anybody. I can just walk up to the room and it'll open because the app's on my phone, and it's a little different because you and I with these with a single family home, we're not going to have a single family home available for folks in 47 different towns in America where they can just download one app, and besides, the app's third party branded anyway.
Right. And that's not the end all be all. It's not like people are going to pick a hotel over this because of that. It's just, I'm just seeing little things, that I think they're trying to make it more convenient and hip and whatever. And there's people that aren't going to want to do that. Just like in our business. I mean, we still get messages from people that barely, understand a door code.
Yeah, that is a factor. Are the guests even going to know what we're talking about with these door codes? But, the door code thing has been part of short term for a long time because there is no front desk. We didn't have a choice. And now they're over there with their front desk and saying, hey, are they going to eliminate the front desk at some point? Like it's another job that they got to pay for. I don't see that happening, but
I don't see that happening in a hotel. I mean, I think you're always going to need somebody there. What that person's capable of and what they pay them, that might change, it may be more of a minimal type situation of what they need to do, so.
Yeah. Well, again, at the end of the day, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think if you have a hotel, you're probably always gonna have, there's somebody's got to be there on site. It's too big, too much stuff going on, and there's no, and it's such part of the culture. I mean, not saying that can't change, but uh, are they always going to hand out free toothbrushes if you forgot yours? I don't know about that either.
Well, that is nice. Sometimes I'm packing my bag and I purposely, if I'm going to a hotel, I'll leave all that stuff out of there because I don't want to have to carry a dirty toothbrush in my bag, and I can just go get one at the front desk, and that's kind of cool. But again, I can't take my mom and dad and my brother and my sister or whatever, and all
Right.
stay in one place.
You can't and cook dinner and sit on the couch and play video games and play pool and go on hikes. You're not doing that.
Yeah, see, to me, they're completely different things. There's a time and a place for a hotel when I want to be in the exact location and I just want easy in and out, somebody to make the bed for me. And then if I'm taking my kids and we're going on like an actual vacation to somewhere cool, then you get a kick-ass house with like a really nice kitchen and a big massive TV and things like that where you can gather in one room, and they're completely different things, But here's
I agree with that, and yeah. I use both. I mean, we use both a lot. I mean, and it's exactly what you said. If we're driving down the road and we got a 14-hour drive, I'm just going to pop in. We want to stop. I'm just, I'm not getting an Airbnb for that. That's totally hotel time, and I generally pick, there's about 3 that we like, and we pick one of those, whatever's close. And, but if I'm going anywhere for a couple days, going to have kids, whatever, it's Airbnb all the way. So
yeah,
I need to quit calling it Airbnb. It's a short-term rental.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's a single family home that you rent overnight.
Yeah.
And my thing is you got to learn from people that are better than you and everything, that's why I call it the enemy method.
Completely agree. I mean, it's just, I think, they are 2 completely different things with different circumstances when to use them, but there are definitely crossovers that we can learn from them. I mean, at the end of the day, they are both hospitality. And exactly, you were going on that road and I cut you off. So go back in the enemy method.
No, but I was going to say, I that's why I called it the enemy method, which, Avery sometimes reminds me that, the average Joe or somebody that's never heard of this business or anything, that name is a little confusing or misconceived. It's like weird. Why would you call that? Because for me, these people I was looking for, which at the time, honestly, back when I first started, they didn't even really exist. There was very few of these people. To me, it was like, I got to go find this guy that I got to be better than. He's my enemy. I got to track him down. And it's like being a boxer. I'm like Rocky versus Apollo Creed. He's my enemy. I got to get in there and be better than him. But in order to do that, I got to check him out and see what he's got going on. There's a lot of stuff I've stolen from hotels that help me as far as management and my day-to-day within my properties. I for instance, I put a little alarm clock that I stole from the Hilton in Omaha, Nebraska, who want to stay at when I go home, see my folks and everything.
Did you actually take that alarm clock?
It was screwed down.
Just copy the idea. You said stole, so I just want to clear that up.
It was screwed down. And I'll look it up here in a minute and give you guys what it was. I don't remember things off the top of my head, but it was just a really cool little alarm clock with it was very nice, and it had 2 outlets on the top and 2 USBs on the top. And it was and again, I'll look it up and put it in the show notes or mention it here when Tim's talking. But I was like, man, this is really cool. I need one of these next to the bed in my short term. So thank you, Hilton. And it's in the same ones in every Hilton in America. And then I also got it's called I can't remember the names of these things, but I got another one on. So what I do now is I put the Hilton alarm clock on one side, on the driver's side of the bed. And then I put just a charging station thing on the other side. It's called a Danny something. Danny.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They make all different ones. It's basically you plug it in the wall and it gives them some USBs.
Yes.
And usually it's got a 110 outlet and some USBs. And the nicer ones, actually, some of them you can get ones that actually have the magnetic charger on them. You can slap your watch on it. You can do whatever. But there's different ones. But those are fantastic. We've started doing all those as well. You said enemy method, and that's an awesome, enemy method's pretty much getting obsessed about just what you said, they're enemies. Another thing I do is I do what I call 3C analysis. I look at the 3Cs are your customer, your competitor, and creating value. So like I always want to know, like if you say up front when you run your business, who is my customer, and cater that property to them, cater to who you want staying there. And then understanding your competitor. Is your competitor the hotel that's right next door, or are you surrounded by 1,000 other short-term rentals? So you need to understand that so you can crush and be better than them. And then creating value. You want to create value for your guests. That's the name of the game. That way they leave you a good review, possibly come back and tell all their friends about it. And so that's kind of the method I use. So, but in that same thing, the understanding your competitor part is basically enemy method. And there's definitely stuff I've gotten out of both other short-term rentals and hotels, and even places, places like Disney are fantastic. They've got this hospitality stuff pretty figured out, and there's a lot of stuff that you can take from places like that and ideas. So
yeah. And Super Danny, by the way, was the charger that I was looking for. Super Danny. And you just put it next to the bed. They're really inexpensive. They look cool. And I did not steal that from a hotel, by the way. I just did a lot of research and found that was the one that I liked the most, mostly because it looked cool. And I have them in all my houses. And quite frankly, if somebody steals it, I don't really care that much because they're cheap. The alarm clock is QB time. That one I did, again, steal's not the right word. Enemy methoded from Hilton. QB time. I really love those things, man. I have them in all my short terms. They're not cheap. They're not expensive, but they're really well made and heavy duty. And I put them next to the bed, and again, it's an alarm clock, which is it's a dinosaur. It's an outdated thing to begin with, but it's just, it makes it look a little bit more professional for $69 or whatever it is. You put it next to the bed, and you can charge your phone, and it just legitimizes your place, just little stuff like that to set you above. And again, hotel or not hotel, when you're going to stay in a property, dude, for me as a host, as a guy a manager, again, a property manager is what I am. Anytime I'm staying anywhere, short-term, hotel, whatever, I'm looking around to see how I can make my business better.
Something that's awesome, I think, that I'll say we do that's ahead of the hotels right now, and it can be huge or kind of minimal, but is the digital guidebooks. I mean, the digital guidebooks with, you load those things up with stuff to do and all the attractions that are close by and all the details of the property. It just makes the experience of staying in a short-term rental fantastic. So,
absolutely. I stayed in a fancy short-term recently that had a timer on, I'm sorry, ladies, what I would call the fart fan, which is that's the technical term for it, right? You got fart fans and boob lights. Those are two real.
That's the way they sell them in the hardware store.
Yeah,
you got to go to the fart fan aisle and pick out your fart.
Excuse me, can you point me in the direction of the boob lights? So I'd never seen that before. It had an on and off and it took me a minute to even figure out what it was. I had to touch it, So I touched it, and oh my goodness, that's the fan.
Is this the boob light or is this the fart fan?
Fart fan timer. I'm sure you could put it. You could probably put it on a light if you wanted to. I don't see why not. I mean, it's just one. It's the same electrical, isn't it? I decided I didn't want to put those in my short terms though. It was a little too fancy. Even me, I'm pretty confident in my abilities to get around a house and swing a hammer, but even for me, it was like, this thing is a little, like somebody's going to ask me what it is. And I don't really want, my whole goal is to not really get people asking me questions, but I did put one in the house I live in, and I dig it. It's pretty cool. Just little stuff like that. I'm also starting to rethink the gift basket. Are you doing gift baskets?
We are actually, we've talked about this before. My wife loves hospitality and she loves guest interaction. And so that's something that we've actually probably been doing it for a while. It used to kind of be not a thing. I don't know. Yes, but the answer is yes, we do them. And actually a lot of times she does a little handwritten note, if we're in town, she has some systems for when we're out of town, but if we're in town, she actually likes running around and leaving those baskets and handwritten notes for the guests. And the guests love it. I got to say, we've had a lot of people comment on them. So
have you always done those, or was it implemented recently?
Somewhat recently, within the last year and a half. But no, not always. We certainly did not always do it.
Yeah, I was always kind of anti. I had one cleaner. I don't even know how we got on this subject, but we'll roll with it. I had one cleaner that did them. Jerry and Jerry, they were wonderful. They retired, but I didn't even know they were doing it, and until I went. This ought to tell you about these gift baskets. I didn't even know they were doing it until I went to my own house, and I was like, "What the hell? He's doing a gift basket?" I never realized that because nobody ever said anything, and I'm like, if nobody ever says anything, why bother? You know? So I just kind of implemented that, like. This guy's been doing this for months and not one person's ever thanked me or said anything about it. So is it a waste of time? Maybe, you know, so I just never did it. But
I'll honestly say I'm gonna say roughly 25% of our reviews mention it. You know, thanks
really?
they left us they left us a lovely gift when we showed up. It was awesome. And
what is she putting in it?
You know, it depends on the size of the property. But basically water bottles and some snacks, you know, and you know, it's simple stuff. I don't even know. I don't know, but it's like water bottles and
not your job.
I'm gonna say pretzels, and yeah, and just some basic non-perishable, you know, maybe some almonds or something. I don't know.
Not my chair, not my problem.
Yeah, she buys the stuff in bulk, and we've actually got a little warehouse, but she's got a shelf and it's all set up, and she basically has baskets ready to go and just swap it out. One goes in, an empty one goes out, and that's it. And then, like I said, when we're in town, a lot of times she'll actually, if she does it herself, she'll write a little note and just say, welcome the Adams family. Hope you have a great time.
The Adams family?
It's probably, well, I just made that up. You know, I figured you like the Adams family.
The guest is the Adams family. I thought you were saying that you.
Yeah. No, she'll say whatever the people's last name is. Welcome, and I don't know. Again, I haven't really read all these, so, but I do see it pop across in the reviews. We do. We actually do a review where we go through our own reviews and look at them, and it shocked me how often the you know, they don't necessarily say gift baskets specifically, but they'll say thanks so much for the little gift, or thanks so much, like when we got there was something special for us and that meant a lot, or something like that. So we have had a lot of people comment on
it. Fancy hotels, 4-star hotels, Michelin star hotels, they will, I've heard that some of them will Google the person on the reservation, and so that they know things about them from their social media and go way over the top and give them the things that, you know, if they mention something about a drink that they like or something, which I personally find that fairly creepy, to be honest. But you know,
yeah, that's getting a little weird. But even let's not go high end. I mean, Hilton Honor. You brought up Hilton earlier. Hilton Honors. If you're Hilton Honors, when you show up, they hand you 2 bottles of water right when you walk in the door.
What does that mean? It's like the membership
their
club?
Awards. Yeah, it's their rewards thing. You know, everybody's got a free rewards program. Yeah, but if you it's free. You sign up for it, and Hilton's got a lot of different brands of hotels. It's not just Hilton. It's Hampton and Home 2 Suites, and all those are all Hilton brands. But if you're a Hilton's reward member, when you show up, as soon as you walk in, they hand you 2 bottles of water. You know, they usually, you know, if you've checked in or whatever, they're usually sitting there waiting for you. And you know, it's little, but I got to say, you know, if I come into a hotel after I've been driving all day, I don't hate getting handed a bottle of water, you know? So
how do I separate myself from a hotel? How do I make my, you know, and again, it's not even the same thing, right? Like,
well, I'll say, you got to remember first, you already are separated. I don't know if it's so much separating yourself from a hotel as it is being a fantastic host. And I think what it means to be a fantastic host is evolving all the time and changing. I mean, if you're in a short-term rental market or true vacation market, you're not as much competing with a hotel, really. You're really not. You are competing. You know, we've talked about the evolution of this deal forever. You know, you go back 5-10 years ago, these things were all with third-party property managers, and you know, they weren't doing any of this stuff. And now there are a ton more hosts, or you know, self-managing people, and people, you know, Airbnb, VRBO hosts that, you know, have stepped up their game. And you know, I attribute that a lot to, you know, I'm gonna say you. I mean, you've trained a lot of people how to do this better. Let's be real. And people have just evolved with that. And I think, it's going to be a little bit of an evolution, and I don't see that as a bad thing, quite frankly. So, people rent these places for the experience of it, so.
If you want to buy a short-term rental in one of the best vacation markets in America, you're looking for the Short-Term Shop. They are the experts in the vacation rental space. Their team of realtors are fantastic. And if you use the Short-Term Shop to buy your home, you'll have access to free classes with me to teach you how to get your property up and running. Join us at theshorttermshop.com, brokered by EXP. Well, thank you for the kind words, which is very interesting to hear you say that. And looking back at my career now, I've taught something like 10,000 plus people how to be badass, super hosts, for lack of a better way to put it, premier hosts. And, I just don't think of myself as that kind of person. Like for me, I was just doing it the whole time just to win. I just didn't want to be at the mercy of the man and I just wanted to live a better life and things. And this is this is where I've been, the hand I was dealt. And again, I say it all the time. Like you would never expect a guy like me, is fairly abrasive guy with like a filthy mouth and a bad sense of humor, to have like good reviews. But it is, it's just, anyway, I appreciate you saying that, because I don't think of myself that way.
I think it's good for the industry too. I mean, talking about, if we're competing or whatever, the more evolved hosts get, the better the reputation. We started this all off with that commercial you saw about the creepy Airbnb Verbo rental, and those exist. There are crappy hosts out there, and that's bad for our industry. So to me, it's a good thing.
Why do I still get shit on though? You know what I mean? Like my houses are anything but what that commercial is depicting. My houses are beautiful, new floors, new countertops, new appliances, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we still get crapped on. That's what makes me nuts.
Well, I think part of that is just, when people go on vacation, they become a little bit different person.
Yeah.
It's I call it wedding day syndrome. On your wedding day, something that wouldn't bother you any other day of the rest of your life can throw you into a tizzy. And it's a little bit the same when you go on vacation. I think people, you got to remember, people have more than likely spent all day in the car, and they may have had 6 kids in the back screaming the whole time, and and then they're showing up and they just have a different expectation, I guess, than if they were walking into their own house after that, So I think part of that just comes with, this is the business we've chosen,
Yeah, 100%, the Godfather, if you will. But Pavan, the Godfather.
Yeah.
And
I feel like we need to, you did it, but we need to call his name out anytime we say that.
But again, it comes from the Godfather, but yeah, I mean, that's where I got it from. He is the Godfather after all, pretty much. But anyway, so you're right. And what do you do when they arrive at the property with the kids screaming at them and they're just trying to get to their first vodka soda? And again, it goes back to breathing room. I think the only thing we can do in short term, especially versus hotels, which we keep going back to that topic today, is to give them breathing room. We don't have a front desk where she can come down and ask for therapy, and get a Diet Coke to put in her vodka. We don't have that. You gotta, you're a little bit on your own. And I think that is something that a lot of times folks don't realize, because again, it is a fairly new thing here. I mean, it's like something like 90% of your guests are going to be the first time ever using Airbnb,
Right.
Verbo, again, that's a different
thing. Technology has made a lot of this easier too. I mean, I brought up, we're doing gift baskets and handwritten notes, and I understand not everybody can do that, but my brain just blanked on it. There's the app, they bring groceries to your house. Instacart, that has made, if people show up and they don't, and they, I'm not suggesting we put, a pile of toothbrushes in our places, but if they forgot something, or they really need something, or they're missing a blanket or something, it used to kind of be a big deal for us to have to, oh my gosh, I got to get a hold of my cleaner at 10 o'clock at night, and maybe they can bring something out there or whatever. You can just Instacart people something pretty easy now these days. And that can go a long ways in taking, you like hit that Instacart button and spend $15 and bring them something that can like completely, I don't want to say shut them up, but it can completely flip the, them being upset to holy crap, these people are on it, and so I don't know. We've done stuff like that before too.
I've got two stories from recent travels. Well, not necessarily one travel and one host situation that I want to tell. First one, I was back in Omaha. I'm always, the motherland. You're from Iowa, you get it. I went home, see folks or wherever I was doing there, and I was staying in this hotel, and I did not. I picked this hotel because of location. It was not the nicest. It was okay, and so I couldn't get the TV to work, and I mean, I'm the guy that is constantly helping people figure out how to get their TV to work. It's what I do for a living, pretty much, And so I'm like, man, there's something wrong with this. This TV's busted. Something's going on here.
That's like a plumber having to ask how to turn the shower on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's rough.
Yeah, thank you. But I was like, this thing's busted. I can't figure it out. And for once, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Everybody's always asking me. I'm going to ask this guy. So he was like, I'll be right up there. And I was like, well, that's creepy. First of all, I didn't even really want him to come up because, it's just a little weird, invasive. But sure enough, he came in and fixed it. It was something to do with it. It wasn't something I could fix. They had some kind of weird cable box situation in this house, like behind the wall in this hotel that it was beyond my control. He's like, yeah, it happens all the time. But I got you taken care of. And but I went away from that with thinking to myself, man, you know what? I really did appreciate at the end of the day that this guy could get me 14 minutes of Seinfeld, so that I could get some sleep because I had to get up early and go kick some more ass or whatever, and that stuck with me. And that leads me to my second story, which is I've got a guest right now. She's going to remain nameless, but she's at a property that's right down the street from where I live. So normally if you're a regular old host, it's probably not something you can do. Most hosts don't live anywhere near their property, and really that's the best way to do it. But she was getting on me about every little thing. And I mean, just stupid stuff, and this is a home that was just completely rehabbed. So it's in that stage. And I know, exactly what I'm talking about. It's in that stage where I just completely rehabbed it over the winter and it's back in service, but there's little stuff that, was probably missed, or just oversights because we had the eye on the prize, with the cabinets and the countertops and the dryer. And the little tiny stuff. We don't, when you're working on a house, that little tiny stuff. I mean, my dad's a classic example. He built the house he lives in. You go into the bathroom in his basement, and nothing's finished. And that's usually the way of
20 years later.
20 years later, and a contractor's brain works like that. I did it. I'm done. I did all the big heavy stuff. If that's done, most eyeballs that are doing that kind of stuff don't look. So you got to kind of rely on your guests. Your first few, 4, 5, 6 guests to kind of give you, and that's a good idea to tell them. Say, hey, this thing was just rehabbed. You might notice a little thing here and there. And I did not do that with this lady. So she came in and she was like, the ceiling fan doesn't work, which I was like, oh crap, because I'll get to that of my system there. And then one of the blinds was missing off one of the doors, which I didn't know. I didn't even care. That's not something, whatever, who cares? But she's throwing a fit over it. And then she said their hair dryer broke. And then next thing you know, it was just one thing after another, little stuff. So I said, you know what? Screw it. She's going to leave me a bad review, but I'm going to go into this thing and I'm going to do everything I can. And so that when that bad review comes in, I can say, you know what? I tried as hard as I could. I did everything I could. And she, she still wants to hit me. What do you want from me? And so at that point, it's her, it's not me, So I go over there and I was wearing a different Metallica shirt. And I got the hair and the tattoos and everything.
You have more than one?
Yeah, I do. And so, the good thing about that is they would never believe that I own the property, and they'd never even ask. This guy didn't even ask. And I just kind of, I roll in with a drill and six screwdrivers and 2 things of duct tape or whatever. And,
your handyman starter kit.
Handyman, yeah, without the tool belt, but everything else. And so, and the guy goes, oh, it must be pretty busy around here for you. And I'm like, oh, cool. He thinks I'm a handyman. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's getting to be that time of year, And then I went over and I fixed something. I don't remember what it was, one of the 16 things. And And I go, look at that, world's greatest handyman. And luckily on that one, now I will say, as we're on a massive tangent here, I got super lucky on this one. She just kept giving me a list and a list. I'm like adding to this list. And she was actually a pretty nice lady. I was able to fix everything she was asking about in about 14 minutes. And it was funny because I had to get back here to the office to teach Management Monday and show people, how to do this. And
how to do this from a distance.
And the office just texted me, how to do it from a distance. And the office is texting me, Luke, Management Monday starts in like 8 minutes. Where are you? Where are you? And I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to get this done. Anyway, long story short, I ended up getting all the stuff she wanted fixed, and she was so happy. And I don't even remember why I started telling this story, but here's another funny thing. I got up in the fan remote. Let me tell that part. So what I do, if the fan's got a remote, most of the cool fans have remotes, which means one switch. You can't have the separate. In some cases, you can do separate switches with a remote fan, but not usually. In this particular one, you can't. So I just put it on medium, light on, medium fan, and I hide the remotes because it's going to be gone in 2 days, So, and those are more difficult to replace than like a Roku remote. So anyway, I went and found the remote. And which was in my truck, I think, or maybe it was in Avery's office. I don't remember, but it wasn't where I thought it was. So I had to dig around, and I went in and I turned it on, and they were so happy about this stupid fan. And if I was on vacation, I never even would have thought about this stupid fan. I just, I guess can't figure it out. Who cares? Move on. Let's go to the beach.
My wife's got to have a fan.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, this was in the living room. The bedroom's got fans, but anyway, yeah. I agree. The bedrooms do need fans in most cases. But anyway, I don't even remember why I started telling this story. But again, back to hospitality. You got to be better than the hotels. And if it wasn't for that dude in that hotel that came and fixed my TV in Omaha, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have gone to the house to fix the fan and the whatever else, and the hair dryer and So thank you to that hotel for inspiring me to go over there and do that. But I really don't think that, that's training our guests to expect the unexpectable, or the impossible, quite frankly, because there's no front desk. It's not scalable. Front desks in short term, it's not scalable. You could be that guy that Googles your guest and has everything that they want perfect ready for them. But man, how are you going to do that at scale? There's not enough return. Like, you're going to have such an ultra high level luxury place that the return is not going to be there, So right. Anyway, I don't even know what.
And there's not an Instacart for handyman with Metallica shirts.
There used to be. It was out of Nashville. It was called Tackle, and I used it all the time. It was Uber. It was like Instacart for handyman. It was freaking
really
awesome. Yeah. They went out of business like a month after COVID. I used them all the time. I had them in the Smokies. We had it in the Smokies, man. Now, it wasn't actually in the Smokies. It was in Knoxville, but they would come down there occasionally. And it was, dude, you were reviewing these guys, so they actually had incentive to do better. It was exactly Uber, or like if you've ever done, any of these type of places, like what's the U-Ship? I just shipped a motorcycle, right, and the guy has to take 100 pictures, and it has to look exactly like they did when he picked it up, when he drops it off. And it was like that. They come and they take 1 million pictures of before and 1 million pictures of after, and then you review them. And it was actually fairly reasonably priced. It was TAKL, I think is what it was. I used them all the time. We had them in Destin too. We had them in Pensacola. And then it was like COVID hit and they were just gone. It sucked.
That does suck. We need to fire that back up.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, maybe it could be done. I don't know. I use them constantly. It was awesome. But anyway, thank you to the hotel for inspiring me to go down there and fix that lady's stuff. But again, not really scalable.
What do you think about, you've been to Disney. What do you think about Disney?
Well, I go to the motorhome. I've only been to Disney one time, which is a shame. I need to get down there more. And we took the bus and we stayed at, but you're right about Disney. We stayed at Fort Wilderness, which was fantastic. Now, Disney is the best, man. That's to do hospitality as well as they do it at a huge scale like that. I mean, their parks are making like what, 20, I think I Googled it one time. It's something like $25 million a day in just one park. And or, at Disney World itself or whatever. And don't quote me on that number, but it's, it's up there. And we're talking gross or whatever, but here's a Disney story. I went up to the ice cream shack at the at the Tomorrowland, and the guy in front of me ordered, and then he got what he was getting, and then he goes, "This isn't what I ordered." And they just handed him another one that he, his new order. And I was like, that was weird. And so I get up there and I ordered my daughter, she was real young. It was her 4th birthday. And she ordered, I said, you know what? They got root beer float. She never had a root beer float. And I ordered a root beer float. I don't know what we're talking about anymore on short-term rental management today. But
I don't know, but I love a root beer float. I know that. I love a root beer float.
So I go, babe, you got to get a root beer float. You never had one of these. It's going to be awesome. And she goes, oh, well, I want the ice cream. I said, no, it's got ice cream in it. She goes, it does? And I said, yeah. She says, okay, let's get that. So I ordered the root beer float, and they handed me some other thing, like a dilly bar or something. And I'm like, what is this? And I said, I ordered a root beer float. And she looked at me, she goes, what? And I'm like, now she thinks I'm that other guy that was bullshitting her to get the free ice cream, And I was like, my daughter's over here, dying for this root beer float. It's like the first time she didn't have to take a nap in the afternoon, So they just handed it to me. And then I read the book, Be Our Guest. And it's like, whoa, this is what they do, And then, but the problem is people take advantage of it. Like that dude in front of me, he took advantage of it. He was like, oh, if I just tell them they screwed it up, they'll give me another one. And so that's where it starts to cost you money. But I think, Disney's take on that is like, who cares? We're working at such a massive scale here that the free ice cream doesn't matter. But with us, just hosts on one property, it does matter.
Right. And I still think, going back to like fundamentals, of like, how do you do this? And I think a lot of this, it falls back on upstream. I think a lot of this hospitality and making to where people don't complain, it's getting ahead of stuff before you make your properties to where they don't have any reason to complain. And if you strive to that all the time, and you and I have talked about this, we do it in our long terms. If you make the place nice enough, to where they don't want to trash it, they're not going to trash it. You always have exceptions to the rule, but I think a lot of that always strive to make your properties nice. Don't wait for people to complain to fix stuff, I guess is where I'm going with that. So
I've actually considered,
but there's always something.
Yeah. I've actually considered a bit of a what you see is what you get vibe, or even going so far as to put that in my guidebook for guests like I went through yesterday with this ceiling fan. Like because here, my brain, she's seeing the forest through the trees, or the other way around, So I'm seeing the brand new floors and the brand new appliances and the brand new massive 80-inch TV on the wall and all this crazy, and the brand new fresh paint everywhere, and brand new furniture. I'm talking, we put $25,000 of furniture in just 2 rooms, and she comes in and all she can do is see that the damn ceiling fan doesn't work. And I'm like, well, what about that $25,000 worth of furniture I just put in your damn house?
I hate to say it though, Luke. I hate to say it, and you know this, but she doesn't know that, and she doesn't need to. You took new pictures, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, her expectation was the new floors and the new furniture. That's why she booked it, because of those pictures that you had done. So she doesn't know that was put in yesterday.
That's true. Yep.
Unless you tell her. Unless you tell her, she has no clue.
Hey.
She booked that place because it looked baller, and there's a couple things that weren't, and that's what she's complaining about.
Yeah. So I raised the expectations too high. I should have left it dumpy, is what you're saying. See, where's the fine line here?
I'm not saying that, but and it's always it's keeping the emotions out of it too. I just got done with a massive rehab, and when you get done doing a rehab like that, all you can do is stand back and stare at it and go, man, look what I just did.
Yep.
And but like I said, I took pictures the day after, and that's going to be the expectation, so they don't know that, and they don't need to, quite honestly. We're doing that. So they booked the place, and they booked that place because it looks like that. So we got to.
The devil is the fact that if you leave the old pictures, they're going to be disappointed with the new rehab that cost you $100,000. They're going to be like, this isn't what I rented. And I'm like, no, it's $100,000 better than what you rented. I made that number up because it's an even number. But it's like, it's almost like you can't win sometimes, but that's the business we've chosen.
Yep. I was just going to say the same thing. So you beat me to it.
I have considered that though, to finish my point there, what you see is what you get thing. And that's just not a good idea. first of all, again, we're talking about a very small amount of people here with this ceiling fan lady. Most people are not going to care or even notice and still give you a good review and just, but she deserved it. She did deserve it, man. They drove all the way down from wherever, Indiana, and they worked their ass off to earn up for this week-long vacation, and their kids locked themselves in the bedroom and don't want to talk to them because they're teenagers, and she had a big old handle of vodka in the cabinet and the whole 9 yards, and she, by God, she wants that ceiling fan to work. And at the end of the day, it's our job to make sure that happens, but it's difficult to do that from a distance sometimes. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I don't think that what you see is what you get is a good idea.
Probably not. I mean, it sometimes, I don't know. We all get there where you get about 3 guests in a row that are bad, and you kind of get fed up with it pretty quick. But it goes back to, this is the business we have chosen. It is hospitality, and the reality of it is, way more of our guests are fantastic than aren't. And a lot of times the ones that aren't, if you really dig deep and look in the mirror, there is room for improvement, and as much as that is hard to swallow, like exactly what you said on these rehabs, you'd spend $100,000 and half a year rehabbing a place, and they walk in complaining about stuff. You gotta look in the mirror. Should they be? Did I leave sawdust in the cabinets or whatever? And if I did, then you need to take care of that stuff and fix it. So,
yeah, I've already made this point, but I do think it's a good idea to just go let them know. Hey, we just rehabbed this thing. Might be a couple of things. Let us know if you see anything. I should have done that with this lady. It would have gone a lot smoother.
And I think the let us know thing goes a long way too. Like, hey, we value your feedback. We tried our best, blah, blah, blah. But whatever we can do to improve this, we want your feedback, But you got to be careful of that too, because we've had some people that have really given us some feedback, and it's like, yeah, we're not putting in a free chocolate fountain in the living room. Like
but it is part of being a leader. You can't just sit around and say I'm the best of the best, and I'm look at me, I'm so good at this. You got to be able to take criticism and build upon it and learn
Absolutely.
from it. Otherwise you're just gonna, we're fruit at the end of the day. If we're not growing, we're dying. And that's ego is what that is. And I mean, it's, I got no problem,
and as a leader, you got to be ready to pivot. I've always said that. I mean, if you get into a business like this and you're not willing, there's nothing in this that's going to be a 5-year set it and forget it. Whether it's your pricing or your decor or whatever, the times are going to change. And I don't know what this is going to look like in 5 years, but the one thing I can guarantee is it's going to be different from what it looks like today. And so you have to, there's always that fine line of like, no, that's not the way you do it. No, that's not the way you do it. No, maybe we need to do it that way now. That there's always that like flip, you brought up the welcome baskets and stuff, I mean, I was so against that when we started this business. And even when my wife started doing it, I was pretty darn against it. And I just finally had to let it go as one of those being a good husband things. I had to, there's a lot of things like with this that my wife enjoys. And I like, it was kind of an aha moment for me one day. Like I was getting on her. I'm like, don't do it like that. Do it like this. And why are you doing that? And blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, like it hit me one day. It's like, that's like her thing in life. She enjoys it. Why am I like, who am I to sit here and freaking tell her not to do something? Cause she's doing that's why we're doing this. Cause we quit our W-2 jobs to do something we love. And that's the part of it she loves. So let her do whatever she wants, And so that was kind of our little inside our business evolution, I guess. But
you bring up an excellent point where a Hilton hotel doesn't have a husband and wife like debating who's going to message what to somebody staying in the hotel. So it is an element of what you see is what you get with hotels, and it's almost like, dude, if you're coming to stay in our short term in our house, you're going to need to be a little bit hip to the fact that it's an experience, and it's going to be different than the one you stayed in yesterday, because again, it's just a single family home owned by some cool people. And I think that's part of it, and I forget about that. I do forget about that because, we spend so much time trying to systematize things and stuff like that. And, but at the end of the day, The best guests are the ones that are adventurous and want an experience and want a story to tell. And I think that is exactly why we're in this business.
Well, and you brought up something there too. I mean, it's like they're showing up. There's such a different level of expectation guest to guest. You know, you threw out a stat of, you know, whatever 90% of the guests are like first time user. Their only frame of reference is a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's it. Versus, you know, you get a lot of the people that come to Smokies are returning, you know, not necessarily returning to your property, but they've been here a lot of times. If they've been here a lot of times, they've rented these from a lot of different hosts. So their level of expectation might be a lot, I hate to say lower, but different than somebody that's only stayed in a hotel for their entire life. You know, if somebody that's been stayed in 20 Airbnbs, they know that it's going to be different from host to host and property to property, and they're completely fine with that. And then they get it, you know? So anyway, it's just, there's a lot of mindset stuff of putting yourself in the guest shoes. You know, what's their life even look like? You have no clue, you know? And, like I threw out the little thing of, you know, they just got done driving for 8 hours and they're grouchy when they get there, you know? And, so, you know, there's just a lot of stuff that we don't know guest to guest. So
it's a business we've chosen. Yeah, I don't even know what the hell we're talking about anymore, and it's awesome. It's fun, but Tim does sell cabins in the Smokies. I just want to plug you real quick, and if you want to talk to Tim or somebody in one of our other markets, theshorttermshop.com, we'd love to talk to you. Love to have you. Of course, I teach Management Monday, teach people how to set their property up and get it running, and get good reviews and how to deal with bad ones and all that stuff, and all the stuff we're talking about today. We'd love to have you as part of the family. We're the best in the business. Not shy about that, and we're happy to throw that. I mean, no, you can't touch us. We're the best, you know, period. So theshorttermshop.com.
Agents at the Short Term Shop also, or either way, yeah, shorttermshop.com or agents if you want to, you know, pick an agent or whatever. But yeah, either way, get a hold of us. We'll
send an email, agents at theshorttermshop.com. If you want to be on the show, guest at strmshow.com, guest at strmshow.com. I'm now I'm doing interviews for future podcasts. I'm kidding, guys. Just come hang out and party with me. Not that big a deal. I did have a quote, though. Want to quote? Or unless you want to do a book. We've talked about several books. We always do. It's a big part of our lives. Is there a book you want to say on the way out?
I mean, we've talked about this a lot on this one, and I think it's, you know, we talked about a lot of stuff, but I think getting into the leadership side of things on this and being a leader, so extreme ownership. I mean, look in the mirror all the time, and you know, this isn't a business that you're going to excel in if you're always blaming somebody else for the things that go wrong. You know, if you go extreme and take everything on yourself and fix it and be a leader, you're going to do well. So. Extreme Ownership is one of my favorite books. So
absolutely,
I think that fits well what we're talking about today.
Yep. I've been talking about this one a lot lately, but Unreasonable Hospitality, I did enjoy that book. I just finished it, and sorry for plugging it so many times, but I did enjoy it. But, oh, by the way, I think that's where this quote came from. I don't really know where this quote came from, but I wrote it down, and I think it applies to today's show. And the quote is, "Nobody knows what they are doing until they do it." Makes you think, doesn't it? Simple as that. Scared, worried about it. Oh my God, how am I going to do this? Well, can't learn to ride a bike at a seminar. There's another quote. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, Luke Carl, Wayne Gretzky, Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, all right, we love you. Short-term rental management. Again, hit me up. Come on the show. We'd like to party with you. Guest at strmshow.com. Thank you, Tim, long-haired Luke, Cashflow Carl. Don't overthink it.